I am with you, I will fight for you, and I will win for you.
The whole system is based on a financial fraud which effectively takes the power that we have and it gives it to a tiny group of individuals who are running the world through the control of finance, with the infinite supply of money that we have allowed them to take. They have literally an infinite supply of money, and with that money, and from their psychopathic point of view, they have bought everything and everyone who can be bought. So those of us who cannot be bought, because we operate on a level that goes way beyond the material, we are not rewarded for such behavior, we are punished for such behavior. On every country's level, they should be issuing their own currency in a transparent, non-usury based way, in which it really truly benefits the people. And in that way, we can literally free ourselves of the banking debt which is drowning us all. And we can stop scrambling for the crumbs from the table of these filthy rich psychopaths and live in a state of abundance just by changing this one thing. And I'm not just talking about abundance for Western nations who have an artificially inflated value with their currencies. We all in the West are guilty of having that reward while the rest of the world is sucking on it. Every nation in the world can use a sensible financial policy to liberate themselves, to have world-class education, infrastructure, everything that a healthy society would require can be had in the worst, most corrupt African country in any part of the world. We can all have that if we simply change that one thing.
We had a lot of information, and a lot of information about the cabal, or, you know, the 1% of the 1%, or these, you know, seemingly unhumanistic people that would do anything and go to any means to, you know, have control, be it financially, be it blackmail, you know, what have you, corruption. It was all out there. So we worked very, very hard to come up with a plan.
Before the French Revolution, there were three ruling powers in Europe: the Roman Catholic Church, the subservient kings, and the semi-secret Jewish Masonic users who financed the beast from the bottomless pit. After the French Revolution, there was only one power left. The king was beheaded, the church was wounded, and the Jewish Masonic money power, called the beast from the bottomless pit, remained.
We want the real stuff, the corporate intelligence, the private sector intelligence that would help us understand how this cabal ran their empire.
Again under Cromwell, where he had to borrow money in order to fight against Charles I and the Catholics. And he got money from the Dutch Republic, which was run by Jewish money, which had came from Spain after they were evicted from there under the Alhambra Decree in 1492. And so he got the money, but they also put a tag on it. You've got to let the Jews back into England. And within 100 years they controlled England, and they control it today.
Everything works to this big picture where you see that corporations are using governments to turn the population of the planet into debt slaves.
That's Napoleon was defeated, and the Congress of Vienna restores the Pope, Pius VII, to the throne. The Jesuits were restored, reinstates the Jewish ghettos. The first thing Pope Pius VII said was put the Jews back in the bottle. The genie was put back in the bottle because Napoleon, the Masonic Frenchman, had let them out. You see where I'm coming from? So they were put back in. Then we see the battle between the papacy and masonry has been enduring and behind the scenes. That's a good statement. Although conducted largely behind the scenes and therefore away from the public gaze, the struggle between the church and the secret societies has been more bitter and prolonged than any international conflict.
John F. Kennedy did that about 6 months before he was taken out. He issued United States notes as opposed to Federal Reserve notes. I can assure you the powers that be knew the power of that act, and they took him right out. So the bottom line is, if we as people understand this very simple principle, just this one thing, change this one thing, we can solve every other problem you can name. I don't care what the problem is. I can bring it back to the financial system and an infinite supply of money for a bunch of psychopaths who are running the world, as opposed to an abundant supply of money for all of us. So in that sense, I'm very optimistic. This is not rocket science. I am not the smartest guy in the room. We can all understand this. And as soon as we do, we can exercise the same power that we had, but relinquished, and we can have a future for ourselves and our children. There's a lot to be optimistic about, quite frankly.